guys, you got to figure this out.
Yeah.
Run it
So
again.
welcome to My Gotta Podcast. I'm Jim Wood. In this episode, John Powell and I preview Georgia's matchup with Missouri. We talk about what we learned from Kirby's press conference, all three phases of the game, and we answer questions from you, our listeners. As always, remember to check out store.mygottapodcast.com to see our latest merch. And you can follow us on social media at My Gotta Podcast. Finally, we'd love for you to check out our presenting sponsor, Axia Time, at axiatime.com. That's AXIATIME.com. Now, let's join the conversation in progress. All right, you're coming to us live from the beach again.
I'm coming to you live from the beach.
Are you more well rested though now than when we talked yesterday?
I'm a little bit more well rested, as well rested as one can be with let's see, six children running around versus 4 adults.
Okay, but you've got I don't know, got a little caught up on the sleep, at least I hope.
A little caught up, yes.
Okay, fair. Well, since I started off with the popping at the top, I will say that I have an Old Faithful Woodford Reserve tonight. So just kind of.
You've got the Woodford. I've got the Maker's 46 and the French oak, the one that you had the other night.
Yes. It's I feel like its legend is starting to spread. Because we now know you like it. I know Lamar Lovelace from 100 Stanford. He heard that last week and bought himself a bottle as well, and he liked it too. So it's good stuff, man. I don't know if it's like new or anything, or had you ever seen that before until now?
I've never had it before, actually. I'm loving it. We may have to go get some more because my brother-in-law and I have basically gone through almost a whole bottle already.
Is it? How's the bourbon situation in the area?
In the immediate area, it is not good. About 20 minutes down the road, allegedly it's a little bit better, but I haven't ventured that far. So we're in a part of the Panhandle / coastline or whatever that is. I guess how should we say, off the beaten path a little bit. Yeah. So it's there's like nothing out here. I have to drive 20 minutes to get to civilization, basically.
Gotcha. Okay.
There's like no restaurant. There's hardly any restaurants. Like to give you context.
Yeah.
I guess the state of Alabama doesn't allow people to sell groceries and liquor out of the same establishment. So the place that we went to was a gas station, a pizza restaurant, a retail store, a grocery store, and a liquor store, all in the same building, but they were all distinct businesses.
Got it. Okay.
I had to buy the liquor on one side of the counter, and then I had to buy the beer and the groceries and such on the other side of the counter.
Right. Oh, that's crazy. That wasn't the Buc-ee's. Am I even saying that right?
No, that was not Buc-ee's. Okay. I don't even know that they sell liquor at Buc-ee's. I don't even know if they sell beer, but maybe, I don't know.
I've never been to one. So, and now people, same people that yell about Raising Cane's are now yelling about Buc-ee's, I'm sure. I've never even seen one driving, I guess. I don't know.
You'd have to keep going towards Tennessee. I guess the closest one for you is probably in Tennessee, in like Chattanooga area.
Yeah, that's where I was, by Chattanooga, because I was expecting to see one on our drive home from Indianapolis, the national championship game, because my dad and I came down through Tennessee back to Charlotte, but we never saw one. I don't know. Maybe we were in the wrong part of Tennessee. I don't know.
Yeah. I was actually there's a question that I think Hug Dog asked about. Buc-ee's will probably be an item that we're eating when we head home.
I think that's why it was on my mind.
Yeah.
Because of the back and forth on Twitter. I saw that.
Yeah.
Too funny.
Yeah.
Too funny. Okay, cool. Fair. We've got Missouri this week. I I think I feel like I say this every time we have previewed them. Is like, why are they in the SEC? But whatever.
Yeah, seriously. I don't know. Can we just kick them out? Kick them and
Yeah,
Texas A&M out and just go back to what we were doing?
yeah. I'm definitely like interested to see how the scheduling changes. You know, when we get to the new whatever the new model will be. You know, I've kind of laid out what I think it should be, but we'll see if they can get it right. But like,
Right.
if and when that or when I mean, it has to change in some shape. I'm assuming these guys will not be on our annual slate anymore when Oklahoma and Texas join. So, which I'm fine with. Like, we don't have any like history with these guys really. So, um, which on that note, like this is only the 12th time we've played them actually. So I think we'd only played them one time since before they joined the SEC, and so now we've played them ever since then. All time series, we are 10-1 against these guys. So, which is kind of weird. Like, you thinking back, like they won the SEC East those 2 years in a row, and that first time they actually beat us, but the second one we actually smoked them. I think that was in 2014, the
Hmm.
year that with Chubb's or not Chubb. Well, Chubb. 2014 was the Gurley suspension year. Sorry, that year. With
I was
Gurley and
supposed
then
to say
Gurley ended up getting hurt.
2014. We have a British Bulldog that became a fan that year.
Right, exactly. Seriously, good call. Nice recall. Yeah, so, but yeah, so we do have a night game. So night game at Missouri, 7:30 p.m. Kickoff at Missouri. They come in at 2-2 on the season. 0-1 in the SEC, coming off that overtime loss to Auburn last week that we talked a little bit about in our Kent State review. The game is on SEC Network. It's on regular SEC Network, not SEC Network Plus. So if you struggled to find the stream last weekend, do not worry. It is not one of those games again. It's on regular SEC Network. We've got Tom Hart on the call doing the play-by-play. Jordan Rogers is the analyst, and Cole Kublik is the sideline reporter. So I think we got I don't know. I think that's a pretty decent crew. Bring back in the Bachelorette fame and fanfare with Jordan Rogers.
Yeah, that'll do. That'll do. I mean, as long as the game is in such a way that I can watch it when we get home and not have my power go out, that would be wonderful.
Yeah. So actually, when are you leaving? Are you traveling back on Saturday?
Yes, we'll be traveling back. We're supposed to travel back Saturday morning. So
okay.
check out here is Saturday morning. So it looks like the hurricane's going to miss us. Hopefully, those of you that are in the hurricane's path, thoughts and prayers for everybody. Stay safe out there, Florida. But it looks like the Mobile area is going to be spared by the hurricane this time around. However, driving back towards it on Saturday, I may be driving into the hurricane, so to speak.
Gotcha. Okay. Okay. And thus your power.
Yep.
Having power comment. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Now I'm caught up. Sorry.
Yep. That's the worry. That's the worry is that, number one, I might not make it back because we have to stop because there's thunderstorms, tornadoes, whatever it is, once that thing reaches Georgia on Saturday, which it looks like it's supposed to be in the heart of the metro Atlanta area at about Saturday afternoon. So we'll see. Got it.
Okay. Gotcha. It does look like the weather there is supposed to be pretty nice. Looks like clear skies. Last I looked, like high of 78, low of 49, I think at overnight. So the 7:30 kickoff, I think it's probably, I was just kind of looking at like what it's been lately. Should be like in the 60s at kickoff. So if you're a road dog traveling and going to the game, looks like it should be like a nice, early fall night, nice crisp football weather. That'd be pretty sweet.
Yeah, it should be like the high 60s and probably down into the 50s for the very end of the game.
Yeah,
So
that's football, man. That's football.
that's football weather.
That's a sweet spot for me right there.
Yeah.
um,
I concur. I concur.
And then the official hashtag for this one is hashtag UGA So that's the hashtag. I need to try to remember to like use said hashtag when tweeting from the podcast account on the day of the game.
I was about to say we never use the hashtag.
We never use it. I'm gonna try to remember goal for this weekend is to use the official hashtag.
Jim, note to self: use the hashtag you mentioned.
Awesome. We've been doing some kind of fun facts. I don't really have any fun facts about these guys other than I started to try to like look and then I kind of got distracted. And so I never did. So my only fun fact is that my friend Will Harvey likes to say Missouri loves company. And that's his joke. So
Missouri loves company. I don't have any fun facts either. The only thing that only thing I saw was that, the field that it's on is named after a famous student and coach from Missouri. And I said that, and I can't remember the name.
It's
off the top of my head.
Fairhope Field, right?
Fairhope Field, yeah. So I guess that he's basically like their version of like Vince Dooley, I guess, for lack of a better description.
Okay.
He was around for a while, and I guess that he probably has one of the distinct pleasantries of like having the field named after him, and he actually helped lay the sod for that field.
Oh, interesting. See, yes. You do have the fun facts. Nice.
I mean, I guess that's a fun fact. I mean, it's not super exciting or anything, but like I did discover that in my pregame research. I'm trying to learn a little bit more about our foes and bring a little bit of interesting information to the table. So Fairhope Field, named after a famous athletic director who actually helped lay the sod when he was a student.
That is interesting. I did not know that. And I like I said, I don't know. It's like, will I ever get over this? Like them being the SEC and kind of stuff, because it is one where we could just like, learn more about them and such. I don't know, kind of we talked about earlier in the season, like when you play these teams that you haven't played as much, maybe there's things you don't know about them. Whereas like Auburn or whatever, we know, we kind of know everything. I guess we can continue to learn about our new friends, or rivals, I guess, whatever. I guess my fun fact is geography wise, like if you look at a map, Missouri actually quite resembles the state of Georgia. Have you ever noticed that? It actually like is in the same shape. Its borders.
Oh yeah. I feel like I've noticed this, but yes.
That that was like one of the memory tricks for our kids when they were like taking the states quizzes in middle school. So anyways, okay. Probably enough for the matchup. We can hit some news and notes. So a few things that I had jotted down. First, Georgia is still number one in the AP and coaches poll, much to the chagrin of the crying Bama fans on Twitter. But apparently not so much the Bama fans in real life. So I hear. Actually, the Bama fans that I actually know haven't been complaining about it either. But I did think that was kind of interesting, though, because I don't know. I heard a lot of people walking out of the stadium thinking that could change. So, but the voters disagreed, I suppose. The next news item, the kickoff times for next week were announced. So Auburn at Georgia will be a 3:30 kickoff. So our first 12 o'clock. Wait, no, that's not right. The first home game wasn't at 12 o'clock. It was at like 4, right? So not back-to-back nooners. So was a little worried about Georgia Auburn being a nooner. It is not. It's part of the CBS doubleheader. It is the 3:30 game. It will lead into the night game of Alabama and Texas A&M. So that's good news. Good news for the tailgate next week.
Yeah, I was worried about that being. Yeah, I was worried about that being another nooner at home, which just would have been par for the course for the SEC East this year, it seems like. But yeah, it's that's awesome.
Yeah, that is good. That's good news. And then something that it came out yesterday, and honestly, I can't remember if we had heard it or not. By the time we recorded, actually two news items came out yesterday. So one was Geoff Collins was let go as head coach at Georgia Tech. And then that I think we did find out yesterday, but then also today looks like their athletic director was also let go. So Georgia Tech cleaning house, trouble on the flats. We'll see if they can turn it around. Hopefully not. And the other not so great news is around Javon Bullard. So he did get arrested late Saturday night or early Sunday morning. Bunch of charges kind of strung together. So don't know. Kirby did get asked about that in his press conference, and he said it was going to be handled as an internal matter. Then he kind of went through it. I think he basically has to go in front of like a disciplinary committee type thing. So we'll see that. We'll see what happens with that. I'm not sure.
I file that under due process. That's Kirby's just due process blanket statement.
Yep.
I think he's probably going to be missing for some time and probably doing a lot of running in practice, etc.
Yeah, agreed.
But yeah, to all my tech friends out there, Paul, if you're listening, $11 million can buy a lot of capri pants, Jim.
Yes, I can.
And maybe he can get a stylist to help him with the suit selection. Like, I don't know, man. 404, the culture no longer there.
Yes, for sure. Culture not found.
Culture not found. Yeah, exactly. I don't know, man. I'm kind of bummed, although they've kind of struck out the last several times with their hires. So maybe they'll hit for the cycle here and just get another.
True. I just please do not let those guys become relevant again. I thoroughly enjoy them being in their current state. So
yeah, I agree. It's one of those things where it's like we get pretty much a guaranteed 365 days of hell from Georgia Tech fans when they win. So
yeah, seriously.
I would prefer to just continue to beat the snot out of them every single year and not have to worry about them ruining a season for us at the end of the year, etc. So
yep,
I'm all good.
For sure. Let's see. Two things out of Kirby's press conference. First, the following players received the Kirby Smart hopeful to get him back kiss of death. Those players are Arian Smith, AD Mitchell, and Jalen Carter. So don't listen to what Kirby says. Sounds like they will not be going. However, go ahead.
What's the deal with Jalen? I know that you're a little bit more astute on the Dog Central forums than I am.
Sure.
So just let me know what's the latest on Mr. Carter.
Yeah, so it does sound like actually Kirby did say today that it's basically a nagging ankle injury. Okay. And I meant to go back and look at the participation from last game because we were talking about snap counts and stuff. From what I understand, he actually didn't play. So I thought I had seen him in on offense, but maybe there's like a young tight end that wears 88 or something. It was an offense that I saw. So I have to go back and look at that from the last game. But yeah, so I don't know. I mean, he was limited against South Carolina and he didn't play at all this week. So, but with Kirby saying he's hopeful, I mean, he gave like we're hopeful to get him back. So my guess is he's going to get another week of rest and try to come back for Auburn would be my guess. But we shall see. But yeah, it's an ankle thing with him as well.
Got it.
The good news though, on the flip side, Kenny McIntosh, what Kirby said about him was that he said, but feel good about Kenny being able to go. So he didn't use the word hopeful anywhere around McIntosh. So that's good news. Would love to have him, and he did not get the hopeful kiss of death. So that was good news.
That's good.
That was all that I had for the news and notes and the press conference and such. So if you're ready, we could talk a little bit about, we can kind of do the usual. We can start with what we're looking for when Georgia has the ball in this game.
When Georgia has the ball, I'm going to be looking for our wide receivers to catch the ball.
Yes.
I'm gonna be looking for a big game from Ladd. Obviously,
Yeah.
I think that our offense kind of sputtered a little bit when he was having the case of the dropsies. So I'll be looking for that. I'm
Actually,
gonna be,
can I ask you a quick question? Do
what's up?
you something that I was wondering, and now that you've seen it, now that you've seen the Kirby Ladd interaction after the after the muff punt, um, when I saw it back on TV, I started wondering, like, did Kirby lay into him so much about the muff punt that kind of got in Ladd's head, and then he was like not playing well for the rest of the whole first half, and then he kind of got things back together. I don't know. It's interesting.
What I hear you saying is that when a parent yells at their kid, sometimes the kid gets a little flustered and is not right the rest of the evening or day or whatever.
Yes, exactly. Basically like that.
Yeah, I mean that's exactly. Sorry, Carter, but sometimes that does tend to happen.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't know. I mean, it's probably nothing. Maybe all right. So I guess one perspective that I'll toss out there is I'm sure that these guys get yelled at in practice all the time, and they just know that they just have to take it and move on. What was interesting to me was that while he was chewing his ass out, his other teammates or whatever were patting him on the back, and they're like right immediately after Kirby like walked away, like they were like, all right, we know, it's okay.
Yes.
Dad still loves you.
Right. For sure.
Yeah. So I'm sure that he was a little flustered to say the least. But he turned it on in the second half too. So
yeah, he did. He righted the ship at halftime somehow.
Whatever he ate for breakfast, he should maybe just not eat that this week.
Fair. Okay, sorry, I got you sidetracked. You can resume before I interrupted you.
Yeah, the other thing. So obviously the wide receiver play. Who's going to be playing out there? I'll be looking for the running back situation. So we saw Kenny McIntosh. Looked like he got a little bit of a knock at the end of the game.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very similar to some of these other injuries that we've seen that like have turned out to be pretty significant. So I'm curious to see who they start. We're not short of the love on Daijun Edwards. So I think that he has played himself into more snaps for the first team, in my opinion. So I'm going to be looking for him. So the big thing with that is the yards after contact. So this has been something that I have been concerned about all year long thus far.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll be looking for yards after contact from the running back scores, which, if you read Dog Central, like again, go over and check out what Josh posted about the stats, which made me feel a heck of a lot better about the running game.
Yeah.
Particularly in light of the situation with, the situation with the Missouri game. Not the Missouri game, the situation with Kent State.
Okay.
I remember watching it thinking like, man, what are we doing on the running game? Well, number one, like a lot of these passes and dinks and dunks are designed runs basically. But the thing that I wasn't clear, I even watching it, I mean, you tell me, Jim, like, did you feel like that we had a successful running game? Like Josh's stats bear that out, and I was really surprised by it.
So me too. So I'll say watching it live, no. Like watching it live, I just felt it felt frustrating, but I think a lot of that too is like the folks around you kind of rubbing off on you and people kind of grumbling, and it was kind of a weird game in general. So that's there. The other thing is too, I think there's a difference between, and I'm not an advanced stats guy, but there's a difference between like being successful, right, which is around like gaining the yards that you need to gain, basically to move the chains, right, versus explosiveness. And I don't feel like the running game is explosive, but maybe that's okay. And to be fair, I say that, and yet Brock Bowers had a 75-yard jet sweep for a touchdown. And if we're going to say things like, well, Kirby can't, move the goalposts and say that the short passing game is also the run game, then I feel like we also can't say, oh, well, you got to take the Brock Bowers run out, like you can't have it both ways kind of deal. So I don't
Right.
know. And I will say too, like I still haven't rewatched the entire game, but I did just watch like the ESPN highlight package. And there were some pretty good runs. I mean, and like Kendall Milton actually had one pretty long run where he got, I don't know, like 15 yards downfield before anyone touched him. So
He
I
got
think it
tripped up
was,
from behind, as I recall.
yeah, there was a bit of like a shoestring tackle. So I think it was better than it felt in the moment, I guess, is part of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I would agree with that. I don't know. I guess that's really for me. I'm just looking to see who starts. I'm curious to see who gets the lion's share of the carries
yeah.
in this particular game. Like I said, Dejan Edwards, in my opinion, seems to be the better running back, like true running back. If you think of like a Georgia running back,
Yeah.
in my opinion, I think he looks the part thus far.
Yep. And I mean, I mean, he was the leading ball carrier last week against Kent State. He had the most carries, even on volume, which I don't think had ever been the case for him in the past. So that was the first. So yeah, I don't know. Like, does that? I think you're right though. It does kind of factor in, even though Kirby did not give McIntosh the hopeful kiss of death. He still, maybe he doesn't start. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. That will definitely be something to watch. Yeah, we've got some listener questions about the run game, so I won't go into that any more than we already did. But I guess the one thing I'll be watching on our side is, do we come out firing on all cylinders? It's an away game, it's an SEC game, on the road at night. We don't have any of that noon stuff. I'm kind of curious to see, what does Stetson look like coming out of the gate? Like, can he, because he's had a little bit of a slow start. And then kind of come on. I mean, obviously he's putting up great numbers. But I'm curious to see, can he just kind of come out of the gate roaring? And
that would be nice.
Yeah. And then I did look at just kind of looking through Missouri's players. Something that stood out to me: Isaiah McGuire, number 9. He's a defensive lineman. He has 3 sacks on the season. So just someone to watch out for on the Missouri defense there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's definitely someone to pay attention to. I think we'll be okay.
Yeah. I think so too. Okay. Well, before we move on to the defense, go ahead.
Especially before we move on to the defense, I do have a question for you, Jim. Like as pertains to the offense. So Graham posted his 12 things, right? So over on Dog Central, Graham has a weekly post that he puts together, 12 takeaways from the game. I was reading that, and there are some gleanings that I would take from that as like, it almost sounded like, and I've heard in interviews like that they needed diversity and all this kind of stuff. Like, do you think that they tried to like sabotage the boys?
Like to
Kirby and Monken and the coaching staff like had to manufacture adversity because we had not been challenged at all season long, and so they had to manufacture that adversity. What do you think about that?
So I did,
because there was a lot of different things that we had not seen. And so I think that Graham had even pointed out that like at one point Monken ran the same running play 3 times in a row or something like that. And it's like, guys, you got to figure this out.
Yeah. So
run it again.
I'll say this. I want to believe it. Sometimes I do wonder if I'm trying to think of the right word here. Like, are they really that diabolical? Like, are they really, like is Kirby really going to be like, we need some adversity, I'm going to manufacture it? Or is it a function of, like, all right, like how much did we talk about Kent State in the Kent State preview? Right. Not much. Right. How much did any other podcast that you listen to actually talk about Kent State in the Kent State preview? Like, is it a function of being diabolical and manufacturing adversity, or is it a function of everyone treated Kent State the same way we did? And I'd love to believe that they're that diabolical and that they're, such masters of motivation and can figure all that stuff out. I think they will definitely use what happened to motivate going forward. But whether they manufactured it or not, I'm not 100% sold on that, but I'm also not, I mean, I'm not ruling it out. Like it's definitely possible.
Yeah. I was just curious. A
Yeah.
lot of the third and fourth stringers. I haven't actually seen a snap count.
I will say the rotations, I mean, that's what makes me like really think it is a possibility. Like the substitution, the substitution patterns and everything, like, yes. And especially in the defense, like the defense was rotating like crazy.
Yeah.
But on the offense, I mean, you know, like Stetson played like the whole game. So that was interesting, but you know, I don't know, maybe like we needed that. So it's definitely possible. Definitely possible.
After reviewing everything, I think that it's like one of those things where everything that I think I texted you. We're not here to talk about Kent State, but like what I do believe as we look forward to the rest of the season is that first quarter in the previous game was Murphy's Law.
Yeah.
I didn't realize, you know, obviously I didn't watch the whole thing from start to finish until, you know, today, basically. I didn't realize how chaotic that first 15 minutes really was. Like you literally had everything. You had a safety, you had a muff punt, you had an interception, you had 75-yard touchdown on the second play of the game. And frankly, it could have been a touchdown on the first play of the game. You had drops, you had a safety, you had block punts, you had all sorts of stuff. Like it was crazy, dude.
It was crazy.
Like just absolute carnage and chaos to start the game out. And I just don't think that you're ever going to see something like that again from the UGA side of things. So if it took the first 15 minutes of WTF plays for them to get the ship righted for the rest of the heart of the SEC schedule, you know, I'll take it.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, better for that stuff to happen against Kent State when you can fight through it and point back to it as a teaching moment than against someone who's going to beat you because you did all that. Right. So, yeah.
So in one way, you got like the guys that had to go through practice today or this week. Yeah, I pity them. You know what I mean? Like they're gonna have the ire of the coaching staff, and then Missouri gets to take the brunt of it.
Yeah, seriously.
when they unfurl their corrections.
Yeah, and that's why that's where what I was saying about like how do we come out of the gate? You know, it's primarily on offense. There, I'm curious to see how that happens, or you know what they look like. Are they firing all cylinders right away because they're motivated based off of that?
Yep.
Cool. Okay. Well, before we get into the defense, why don't we take a moment to remind everyone that Season 3 of My Guide Podcast is brought to you by Axia Time. It is a custom watch company. And if you want to commemorate the Dogs National Championship in style, you've got to check out their Georgia National Championship timepieces. I'm actually wearing mine right now as we are recording. It's a beautiful watch. It's stainless steel, got a red face. It's got, it's subtle. It's very classy. It's got the Power G on it. And it has the, official CFP 2021 National Champions logo. It's also got the CFP logo on the clasp and the crown as well. I don't know, John, what do you got to add about your watch?
Yeah, I love it. I think that one of the things that I love about this watch is that, it's focused on the university and focused on the fact that we are national champions, and it's not focused on a brand, a brand name. Subtle brand logo on the second hand, I believe. But even then you would have to really, really look at it. I think that my favorite part of this watch is the Power G's all along the inside of the dial as part of like a decoration, if you will. It gives it a nice little aesthetic, and you look closely at it, it's like, oh wow, those are Georgia G's, those are Power G's. So it's a beautiful watch. It's very nicely done, and I couldn't be more happy with this.
Yeah, for sure. Agreed. Well, if you're looking for a unique holiday gift for a Bulldog fan, one thing you do want to order it early So no later than Cyber Monday. So, that's the Monday after Thanksgiving, to make sure that it arrives in time for Christmas. And hey, this year's college football playoff. Be sure to check them out at axiatime.com. That's AXIATIME.com. And exclusive just for our listeners, you can get 10% off these timepieces by using code MyGottaPodcast at checkout. So go check them out for sure. Axiatime at axiatime.com.
Yes, you make sure you get those orders in, because like these are handcrafted. These are high quality timepieces that are you can't just buy off the shelf.
Yeah, for sure. Cool. Awesome. All right. Let's move on to the Georgia defense. So what we're looking for when Missouri has the ball. I actually have I jotted down a bunch of stuff actually about some of the Missouri players. Why don't you cool if I run through some of those guys really quick?
Let's do it.
So first off, their quarterback, Brady Cook, he's got a pretty cool story. He grew up a Missouri fan his entire life, and like his dream was to be quarterback at Missouri. He actually played in the game against Georgia last year. I don't even really remember that. I just remember the starting guy, Macon. But I believe Lily had a soccer tournament. I think I barely saw any of that game last year. So I don't really remember him. But on the year, he's 69 for 109. So it's a 63% completion percentage for 805 yards. He does have 4 passing touchdowns and 4 interceptions, though. So it's across 4 games. And let's see, he does run a bit, though, also. So he's got 36 carries for 158 yards and 2 rushing touchdowns as well on the year. So just a little bit about their quarterback. Their running back room, it seems to be running back by committee, powered by 2 transfers. So Nathaniel Pete is a transfer from Stanford. Unfortunately, he was the guy that fumbled the ball in the back of the end zone in overtime against Auburn in the last play of the game. So that's him. And then the other running back is Cody Schrader, also a transfer from Division II Truman State. This guy, he led Division II last year with 2,074 yards. He scored a touchdown in every single game, and he had 5 200-yard rushing games in D2. So I don't know. It's a very different transfer than we're used to seeing in the transfer portal. Guy jumping all the way up from D2 to a D1 school. So I don't know, just a couple of stories that I found there. And then in the receiving room, they actually have the SEC's leading receiver in Dominic Lovett. He has 376 yards and 2 touchdowns. And then for the recruiting folks, a familiar name, Luther Burden. He was like a mega super 5-star recruit. Georgia was after him very hard. He chose Missouri over Georgia among others. So he's kind of their freshman phenom. And I know, like, at least in the first game, I know like he's lined up at in the Wildcat some as well. I believe he does some kick returns. So he's a bit of a Mr. Everything, but not the leading receiver. That's Lovett. So those are the things I gleaned from their stats and roster.
Yeah, I think that what we've seen with these wide receivers like that are clearly talented and have a clear, star power, they do tend to give us problems. So I'm sure that guy is going to get his yards. I mean, we saw it with South Carolina for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think that's the thing to watch. Right. And especially like with what Kent State did to Georgia was basically like, they didn't really go vertical, right? They kind of went side to side, a lot of screens. And I know like the long touchdown on the screen, I've now seen it back, and Kirby actually talked about this in the press conference as well. And I think Graham wrote about it as well, but basically our boundary corner, Lassiter did not turn the receiver in, and he got around the outside, and with the angle Chris Smith took, he couldn't get him, and he was just gone. Like, there was no one else there. So I'm sure they'll be working on that this week to correct that. That's like with South Carolina, right? Like Rattler hit that one long pass kind of over the top. So I don't know, can they do anything there? And again, what's the great equalizer? Pressure. Can we get pressure? I would feel better if we had Jalen Carter out there. I don't expect to see him go based on the hopeful comment. But next man up, everyone's got to step up. I don't know. Love to see Nolan Smith and Robert Beal get after it.
Yeah, I fully expect them to be full tilt for this game, if you will.
Yeah, for sure. And just continue the the Malachi Starks trend. I was looking through the stats today too. Also, I mean, how about we've got our two leading interceptors on the team are our safeties in Malachi Starks and Chris Smith. So we'll see if they can keep that up as well.
Yeah, I'm sure.
And like I said, this guy's thrown 4 picks in 4 games, so opportunity is there.
I'm hoping that they will have an opportunity to increase their INTs for the season.
Yeah, I have I think a couple of things on special teams, unless you've got anything on the defense. Anything else on the defense?
The only thing that I'm curious about is like who's gonna replace Javon Bullard.
Yeah.
And is he going to be playing or not? I mean, I've seen some reports. I've seen some reports that Kirby has said that they were just going to deal with it internally.
He did clarify that basically internally means he's going to go through the internal process. So deal with internally doesn't necessarily mean not suspended, but it also doesn't mean suspended. It means the way he worded it today is basically we don't know yet, that he hasn't gone through the process yet.
Right.
Whatever that means.
I think that, we'll see. We're hopeful that he plays. So I'm not sure if that's a good thing or not. That's my look against a team that has a star-studded wide receiver out there.
Yeah.
We've already got a young secondary out there. So taking a starting defensive back out of the mix and throwing in someone that's fresher is probably going to create some problems. They mentioned communication. I think, was it Starks that said that they got to work on their communication? I can't remember in the post-game interviews, but I think that's something that could come up. That's something I'll be looking for. And is he or isn't he Jalen Carter? Is he going to play this game or not?
Yeah. Back to the Bullard piece on like who's going to replace him. I mean, because the other thing we have to think about there also is, you would maybe think William Poole a couple weeks ago, but he's no longer with the team. So I mean, I think we're kind of down to Tyke Smith. And
Tyke did take the first team reps. I believe I read the practice notes today. Head on over to Dog Central if you want to get the latest on what's going on with everything. There's some recruiting tidbits. Georgia's quarterback situation next year sounds like it's getting a little bit more complicated. So go check it out.
Yeah, for sure. Cool. So my couple of special teams notes were 2 things. So one on their end, not to keep harping on their lost Auburn, but poor kicker. He missed a really short one that would have won the game at the end of regulation against Auburn. So that's one thing on their end. And then on our end, we've had 2 weeks in a row that we've given up a successful fake punt on our punt return coverage team. How about we don't let that happen this week?
Yeah, I don't know. I'd rather not have any issues in the special teams game.
Yeah, and not to keep going back to Kent State, but I will say, I don't know if you noticed this, if you could see this on TV, we were clearly like expecting a fake the entire game because like Ladd was not very deep, and then like he was really close to the line, and then he would back up like at the last second. So it looked like they were in some kind of weird alignments. Anyway, so whatever.
Well, I'm definitely over having the fake punts converting. So I'd rather not see that ever again.
Yeah,
I'm so over it, Jeremy. And I guarantee you that we're not the only team that's noticed it.
Well, and both of them, the punter threw a pass, right? Like they were basically like, I don't know that it was like exactly the same play, but both times it was a pass by the punter. Like, come on, guys.
Yeah, seriously.
Sorry. Like, now I've got us munching.
just account for every player on the field. I mean, that's ultimately what it comes down to. You got to account for everyone.
Yep, for sure. Okay. All right. Well, I think that about wraps it up for those topics, and we can move on into the listener questions. First up, we actually got a question through Facebook. So, hey, if you're on Facebook, we are on Facebook as well. We're My God a Podcast pretty much everywhere: Facebook, Instagram, obviously Twitter, TikTok. So you can hit us up wherever you want to reach out to us. mygodapodcast@gmail.com, all places that are valid. Also on Dog Central, we got a Dog Central question. But so the first one from Trent Thacker on Facebook: in honor of the Geoff Collins firing, what are your favorite Georgia versus Tech moments in the Geoff Collins era? And he gives us his list. His list is pretty extensive. I have a couple of things I'll add, but I don't think I can add 5. So he's got number 5, the Pickens 41-yard touchdown catch in 2019. Number 4, the Tyson Campbell fumble recovery for a touchdown in 2019. Number 3, Kenny McIntosh 59-yard touchdown run in 2021. Number 2, the long Brock Bowers catch and touchdown run down the center of the field in 2021. I know you were these ones, you were in person for those two. Yep. And then number 1, I definitely agree with George Pickens throwing the tech to fits it back into the wall in 2019. So I think that is a great list. I would say didn't Brock Bowers have like another crazy touchdown? Like where it was like a crazy catch, like kind of in the corner of the end zone? That's correct. That's a good one. Okay.
Yeah. I would say that those, for a number of reasons, were my favorite memories of Geoff Collins' time at Georgia Tech.
Yeah, you were there in person. What
I happened to be there.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah.
I was going to add another off-field thing. Like Geoff and the team, like lifting weights and doing push-ups on the sideline pregame. I don't know, like that's pretty high up.
It has to be pretty high up there, because that's one of those situations that you just. I remember the ESPN crew going through there and filming that, and I remember thinking to myself, "What in the heck are they doing? Like, who does that?"
Oh, Geoff.
Well, and then I think what was even better was I think that some of the alumni for UGA, like they chimed in on Twitter, on the Twitters, and were saying like, "Do y'all work out? Y'all lift weights?"
So good. I do, Trent. I appreciate the distaste for Georgia Tech. There's not many of us left anymore, so much appreciated.
That's good.
All right, let's see. Let's go over to Twitter. So Zach SC Dog 864. What do you want to see improved upon this week from last week? And then he has another one. So what do you want to see improved this week?
What do I want to see improved? I think the wide receivers catching the ball when thrown to them. I would like to see 0 drops.
Okay, that's a good one. I'm going to say no fake punts allowed. And then he said, if you could replace Missouri with a team better fit for the SEC East, who would it be?
Clemson.
Okay, that's a good one. I'm going to give a kind of a weird one. I'm going to give a bit of a curveball.
Tulane.
Auburn.
Oh, nice.
Let's follow some geography and put Auburn in the East. So
that's a fair assessment. That's a fair assessment. I like it.
Let's see. Next up, 51-7 GATA. As we get ready for another division game at Missouri, in your opinion, what Power 5 school made the biggest mistake during conference realignment from the years of 1992 to today? And he said it can be a school that stayed with their conference or one that did make the move. I've got an answer. If you want me to go first.
So I'm gonna respectfully bow out of this question, because I don't know that I know enough about the other conferences and who did or didn't go to make an educated answer. However, what I will say is that when it comes to conference realignment in general, I believe that Georgia Tech made a huge error in not going to the SEC or sticking with the SEC.
Right. Yes. No, that is the biggest mistake ever. It's outside of the window of his question, but that you were
Correct.
right. If you go all time, that is the worst move. It's a horrible move. Um, so it was a horrible mistake, which is what Larry Munson said about George Godsey when he threw a pick six to Tim Wansley. Anyways, I'm going to say Nebraska. I think to me, like college football is a regional sport, and like that. And I know like the Big Ten, or sorry, well, Big Ten is where they are now. The Big 12 wasn't always there anyway. It was like the old Southwest Conference and all those kind of things. But like, I don't know. To me, that's just so weird of them being in the Big Ten. My close runner-up would be Miami. And I feel like their move also created the Power Five, because before they were basically six, and that was the demise of the Big East, and like what that started it all. So that's my second one, but I'm probably more upset about that one because that one is the one that I feel like kind of screwed everything up and started all this huge. That's the whatever. That's where it all really started. So, but I think Nebraska. I think Nebraska has suffered the most from theirs. And Fletcher Proctor, I know he responded and he said the same one. That was his response as well. So, okay,
yeah, sounds good.
We've got to. I'm going to kind of group some of these together. We've got a group around the run game / offensive line. So I'm just going to read these three questions and then we can kind of talk about them together because they're all somewhat similar. So Georgia on Tap from the Dog Central Forum said, I know I'm beating the same drum, but comment on the running game between the tackles. Has it pretty much just become a show play to prove we will do it? Chris Dog 90 on Twitter just said, what are your thoughts on the running game? And then Chad Jarvis on Twitter said, thoughts on the offensive line issues, especially Xavier Truss. I know we talked about the running game earlier. Like, I think Georgia on Tap's question was pretty interesting about the between the tackles because, I think that gets into some of the stats that Josh and Graham had put together around like the outside runs are much more effective right now than running in between the tackles. And I think some of the questions are essentially around the guard play, which is where I think this groups in with Chad's question around Truss. I will say this on that piece, like on guard play and things, not to beat a dead horse, but like subscribe to Dog Central and read like Graham's 12 takeaways. Like he's much more knowledgeable about that than I am. I will say like running up the middle has definitely not been as successful this year. Like your point about yards after contact, I think is valid. I think the thing that I've been more concerned about, or I guess not more concerned about, but also concerned about is like the yards before contact, because it feels very low, especially for those inside runs. Like there's not a big hole. And especially like talking about when playing a MAC team in Kent State, there weren't big holes up the middle. Like there were some big holes, but it was more on the edge. So like what exactly is going on there? Is it the guards? Is it like the scheme? We've had a pretty high turnover at offensive line coach over the last few years as well, right? Like, is that playing in?
Yeah, well, Searles was around wasn't he around for the Carlton Thomas years?
That's a great question. I'm not sure if that exactly overlaps, but possibly.
I mean, but he was around during those time periods, right? When we were just running up the gut. And was Bobo the offensive coordinator when Searles was there? I can't remember.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah. So
I'm pretty sure. I don't know. Someone might have just like thrown their podcast player somewhere, but I think that's
Well, I mean, I think it's just part and parcel with the criticism of the offense this year is that we're slinging it around the park and Brock Bowers is doing Brock Bowers things, but I do still believe, and I'm telling you, man, like I haven't seen it, and I think one of the questions was like, prove we're going to do it. Basically, like, can we get short yardage? Can we get short yards when we need it? When we absolutely have to have it?
Yeah. So I think that's what gets to Josh's blog post, right? Which is not behind the paywall, by the way, his weekly stats post review that's the success rate, right? Because the successful is like, did you gain the yards you needed to as far as like moving the change? And the success rate on the rushing is very high, which is what, like, again, like to what you're saying, right? Like when you're watching the game, you don't feel like that way, but that's like a binary stat. So I thought that was pretty interesting. Georgia on tap, to your piece, I will say like balance does matter, and you need to be able to show a look and have the defense. You have to keep the defense honest. So there definitely are times where it may not work, but you've got to do it because they have to be worried about it. And you've got to do certain things to make them think that you're going to do it later. And if you never run up the middle, they're never going to believe that you're going to, and you need them to at least think they are. So I do think there is something to that.
Yeah, the window dressings with Monken's situation is with his play calling, and the window dressings are important for sure.
Yeah. Okay, so hopefully we got to all those. Let's see. I think you've talked about this one from Jimmy Duncan on Twitter. Thoughts and concerns with the receiver drops last week. Seems like they figured it out in the second half. I think we've probably already talked about that. So he does have a second question around, and I can't answer this one. Compare and contrast Columbia, Missouri to Columbia, South Carolina. Cheers and go Dogs. Have you ever been to? I've never been to Missouri at all. Have you been to Columbia?
I haven't been to Columbia. However, okay. we obviously, Carter and I went to St. Louis and had a wonderful experience in St. Louis. I don't know. I was looking, I think that Columbia is like halfway between Kansas City and St. Louis, I believe.
Okay. I would say definitely not as hot.
It's Columbia, not as hot. Having never been to Columbia, Missouri, I can tell you that I have no desire to go to Columbia, South Carolina. So Columbia, Missouri is a wonderful place.
Yeah, right. I know that the people that went like in 2012, our first time there, what was it? That was the grown man football game. I have heard good stories and about folks that really enjoyed their time there. I think it's like not super easy to get to, from what I remember. Like you have to fly in elsewhere and drive over. I could be wrong, but yeah. So sorry, Jimmy. I don't have much, having never been there. I do have on my bucket list to eventually attend every stadium in the SEC, and that's one of the places that I have not gotten to yet. So someday I will hopefully be able to answer that question.
So I guess that's a solid 2 hours from St. Louis.
Okay.
Which close-ish. Yeah, I don't know, man. I have no opinions other than Columbia, South Carolina sucks, and pretty much many places in South Carolina suck.
Except for Fripp Island, where Fripp Dog.
Except for Fripp Island,
often goes to.
Yes.
Let's see.
Hilton Head's okay.
That's true. I like Hilton Head. I spent a lot of time at Hilton Head. Let's see. Fletcher Proctor, Gaffney sucks. Sorry, Gaffney. Yes. Your highway I-85 going through your city is not good. I don't know about your city itself, but the highway is not good. Anyways,
doesn't matter.
Fletcher Proctor, which injured receiver do we need back more? Arian Smith,
A.D. Mitchell.
Yeah, I agree. He said, I'd love to have both back ASAP, but who would help out Stetson in the Heisman race? So yeah, I mean, it's AD. So
I mean, it's got to be AD because we haven't really seen Arian Smith healthy.
It's crazy how few snaps he's taken.
Yeah.
Like it feels like he's played more. I mean, he hasn't just not played much.
I'm trying to think, like, who Arian Smith reminds me of is Brandon Smith from the Richt era. You remember Brandon? You remember Brandon Smith?
Yeah, like he wore number 1. He was a defensive back / sometimes offensive player.
Yeah, he played on offense. I feel like he was always hurt. So like I don't know, man. I just feel like that maybe Brandon Smith's not the right one, but I don't know. I'm trying to think of like a wide receiver who I feel like was just like always hurt, and we never really got to see him.
Brandon Smith was like a two-way player. Like he played primarily defensive back, but whenever they put him in on offense, like he was amazing. Like I feel like it was kind of like one of those weird situations of, hey, maybe he should play wide receiver.
Yeah, exactly. He was probably the Meikle before Meikle, right?
Yeah. Okay, I was just about to say that. John, you're like reading my mind again here. Amazing. Yeah, I agree.
So maybe Arian Smith is not the correct, but like what there's kind of I'm trying to think of like a wide receiver, because there's been a lot of wide receivers that have come through UGA, but like they just never really were able to click because they were either hurt or just the timing wasn't right. I'm just trying to think.
I mean, not a wide receiver, but Patrick Pass had turf toe for like 3 years. So I feel like he's kind of out there.
Right.
I exaggerate. But in 1998, he had turf toe like the entire season.
Yeah.
Which I can relate to. I understand. It's understandable.
I would love to see Arian Smith be more impactful, but at this point, AD Mitchell's got to be the answer on that one.
Yeah, we've just seen him be more versatile. I mean, Arian Smith, I'm not saying that he has like not done what he's been asked to do, but like, I mean, we've seen him run a great fly pattern and score touchdowns, and that's awesome. But I think AD has been much more versatile, and I think would make a bigger impact there. But love to have both of them back. But if it's between the two, I'd go AD.
Yep.
Okay. Next up, Brett Belding. When was the last time the Dogs played two Tiger teams back to back? So I didn't know the answer to this one. So full disclosure, I just went ahead and looked it up ahead of time because I didn't know. But I have the answer. So I will just answer it. It was actually only 2 years ago in 2019. The funny thing is it was also Missouri followed by Auburn, just like this week and next week. But back then it was in November instead of September and October. Yeah, which is the correct time to play Auburn. And we can talk about that next week. Let's see. Next up. Okay. I'm already laughing. Next up, Will Kaplan. If I make an elaborate fast food / chain restaurant bracket, we all fill it out for the bye week and debate it on the podcast.
We'll debate just about anything related to food on the podcast.
Okay. So something I realized today, because when I realized, so quick inside sources, we're going to talk about this with Chris later, but British Bulldog did text us and tell us that he actually did not have Raising Cane's while he was in town. And I was trying to figure out like where is it exactly? Dude, it's in the Guthrie's building. I looked it up.
Oh my gosh, are you kidding me?
Guthrie's is now Raising Cane's. I'm pretty sure. Someone tell me if I'm wrong.
No,
but
you are. I will tell you, you are wrong, because I actually drove by a billboard that said Guthrie's Fried Chicken
in Athens.
No, not in Athens. Like on the way to here, on the way to Floribama.
Oh no! But I'm saying, but in the Raising Cane's in Athens is in the building that used to be Guthrie's when we went to school.
Oh! So you're asking like is
the one
that
in Athens?
Is that true? Okay, got
it. I mean, I looked on Google Maps, so unless I don't remember where Guthrie's was,
hang on. Now I gotta know.
It's been a long time. I feel like that's the same building that Guthrie's was in.
Is it on Baxter Street? Because that's where it was.
It's on Baxter. Okay. And it's like not too far from the dorms. Like take a left out of Russell Hall. It's up there a little ways on the left.
I believe that's where it was. I'm pretty sure that's where it was.
Yeah, I think so. So how did I not know this? So now I know where it is. Now I want to try it even more. So
you could also try Ponko's Chicken, which is just up the road.
Nice. Yeah, we're gonna have
which is also really good.
The great chicken debate. I was kind of disappointed in myself and not like bringing Raising Cane's to the tailgate to have Chris to try.
I mean, I wasn't gonna say anything, but like that was a massive fail on everybody's part.
Okay, not to spoil anything else, but I did bring Panda's bean dip. So that was my focus, and so but we'll get to that. We'll get to that next time. Jason Huggins, Hug Dog. It was good to see you. That's 2 games in a row I've actually seen Hug Dog in person. It was good times. Finally, a night came this week. Number 1, what's on your grill and in your glass this Saturday? Oh, and then he said, "Do you want to pick my kickoff for?" And he had a picture of his bourbon collection, which was quite impressive, Jason. So let's
Yes.
see. So this is, and I think this is, we can have a callback to the earlier conversation, I believe, because yours is while you're driving and such, I believe,
Yeah,
right?
I'm gonna have probably Bucky's brisket, which is it's actually like really close to Gulf Shores. So
Okay.
that's I think that's a no-brainer pit stop for us on the way out of town. Get some gas, get some food, and shove off to Marietta. But in the glass, for the evening, I'm probably gonna go EHT because that's what I got at home.
Okay. So I don't know because there's nothing like mascot related I could do really. So I might just do like some. I don't know. Maybe we'll do burgers because I definitely I love doing burgers in the Big Green Egg. The only other thing I could do is maybe I could smoke some brisket, and so that I could have my brisket and you could have your brisket, and we can compare notes. But
Mm,
it takes a lot of time. So we'll see. And I think, and
brisket.
I guess the other thing is it's supposed to be like raining here in North Carolina
It's probably
all
gonna be
day.
raining.
So so we'll see. We'll see. I can. I mean, I can cook on the Big Green Egg in the rain as long as it's not like pouring out so much want to be over there. But I can still do that. So we'll see. And in my glass, I've got I might do Eagle Rare. I've got some Eagle Rare. I've got a bottle of Eagle
Ooh,
Rare that I haven't opened yet. I might open that up for Saturday night.
I like it.
Let's see. Okay. And then his second question: will our first team defense give a touchdown?
Will our first team defense give up a touchdown? I think that they probably will, just because of the secondary issues
Mm,
with Bullard being out. I'm sure that we're going to have some blown coverages.
okay.
Is that a Coach Trill over under? Is that an official Coach Trill under over?
It is not.
Okay.
Not first team defense. No.
Okay.
I'm going to say yes to probably. I wouldn't be shocked. Um, but I will say that leads into our next, not a question, but just a comment from John Michael D. He said, "Just wanted to say that I will never again ask a question concerning giving up a touchdown." Hashtag Munsoning. So he asked that last week. And then so basically we gave up too many points. And John Michael D, it's not your fault for asking a question. That's not how these things work. Don't worry about it. I have finally like come to terms with that fact myself. So
Yeah.
no more mentioning. You're good.
Yeah. We're not going to worry about it.
Okay. It is now time. All right, coaches over unders. We're going to start with the offense. Points scored at the half. Over under 24.5
Total points or points by UGA?
by Georgia. Yeah, because this is
Okay.
the Georgia offense section.
Points scored at the half. I'm gonna go under.
Okay. I'm going to go under. And fun fact, I wrote everything down ahead of time so that I couldn't waffle and go back and forth. I'm going to
Okay.
stick to it. All right.
Okay.
Next up for the Georgia offense, over under 6.5 total touchdowns. And we can keep going back and forth. I'm under 6.5 total touchdowns.
I'm gonna go under
Okay.
30. 30.
Right. John is mathing.
I'm checking the maths here. 6 touchdowns. I'm gonna go over.
Over. Okay. Over under 450 yards of offense for Georgia.
Over.
Okay. Man, I wrote down under, but now I'm second guessing it. But I'm going to stick to what I wrote down. Okay. Moving to the defense. Over under 1.5 forced turnovers. And I think it's my turn. Over. Okay. I was going to say over. Okay. I'll go first again. The next one. So we were both over on that one. Over under 200 rushing yards allowed. I've got the under here.
Like on the defense or
Our defense allows over under 200 yards rushing.
under?
Okay. Agreed. By the way, Missouri averages 185 yards of rushing per game.
I have a feeling that they're gonna experience some problems this weekend.
Yeah. Let's see, over under 1.5 sacks for the Georgia defense.
I'll go over.
Me too. Over. Okay, I was gonna ask a clarifying question to Coach about this next one, but I forgot. So we're gonna have to work something out, John. For the special teams question, Georgia's first punt of the game, over under second quarter.
Why don't you just say over under halftime?
Okay, we can do that. We're gonna do that for simplicity, Coach. Sorry.
Yeah.
Over under halftime for the first punt.
I'm gonna say under.
See, that's why the second quarter makes it so much more interesting.
I mean, how else would you do it? Like, I feel like we're overthinking this.
We're way. I need to cut this out. Sorry, guys. Okay, so we'll go back to the halftime. Okay, so you're under for halftime. I'm gonna go over on the first part. Okay. This last one is amazing. For his miscellaneous, Brendan Douglas hurdle pictures shown on television, over under 1.5 times.
I'm gonna go under.
Okay, I'm gonna go under as well because I do think it will be shown. I think it will be in the opening sequence. I think it will be shown one time exactly, just to clarify. But I agree under. And in case anyone doesn't recall, Brendan Douglas, he got like flipped upside down. Do you remember that play?
I don't. Although I'm looking at, I'm doing the Googles.
So it was the year, like everybody was hurt. So like Gurley had hurt. It was 2013. Gurley had hurt his ankle against LSU, and then Keith Marshall tore his ACL at Tennessee, and like we basically, I think that game we played with like JJ Green, who ended up transferring to Tech eventually, which like whatever, and Brendan Douglas, and like we beat Missouri, and Brendan Douglas had a play where he was like running the end zone and dove and got like
he dove into the corner and got flipped over. Yeah,
that's cool. Pretty awesome.
So that's not exactly a hurdle.
Yeah, I get flip. I guess it's a flip.
Yeah,
he jumped, but he got hit while he was hurdling.
Yeah, but he was definitely diving. A hurdle has the distinct look of I'm jumping and kicking my foot over and expecting my feet to land and continue running. Like that's a hurdle.
I think that's fair criticism for Coach Trillville. Sorry, Coach. Okay. All right, that's it, Coach. We will eagerly await the official. I love that like Coach Trill tracks them, and like I don't have to make the joke that we're not going to track him, and he tracks them, and we get to look at it. I think it's pretty fun this year.
And now he's holding it to us. my feet are getting roasted. I'm getting beat now.
And now we talk about it. We stress over it. Okay. So for the game, for this game, Georgia is, as of Monday, we record Monday nights. As of Monday night, Georgia is favored by 28 points. The over under is 54.5 total points. That gives us an implied score of 41.25 to 13.25. And our not a sponsor, OddsShark, their predicted score is 48.6 points to 25.2, which would be a Georgia win, a Missouri cover, and the over. You got any thoughts? Do you want me to kick us off here?
I'm going to go 45 to 14.
God, I got a podcast. All right. So I wrote this down.
No, you didn't.
I didn't. It's not exactly the same, but the offense is the same. I had 45 to 10. 45 to 10.
I wanted to throw out a field goal out there too, but like, whatever.
Yeah, I went 45 to 10. I mean, I feel like in general, here's the thing. Like when we have played a Power 5 opponent, we've looked like the number one team in the country. And when we haven't, we haven't. And this is a Power 5 team. It's on the road. It's at night. I do expect us to kind of come out firing on all cylinders, kind of, a little bit angry to correct the mistakes of last week. So I'm excited. I'm excited to see that.
Yeah, it should be a good game. I'm hoping for a good game. Beautiful weather, or at least there. Yeah, look out. I think that everybody's going to be watching this game. There's a number of folks that are going to be watching to see if last week was just a fluke or if we are the team that we think that we are from the first, 3 games.
Right. Which, like, I don't know. I still can't decide how to feel because, like, when I was this is one of those things where, like you were asking earlier about, like, how did I feel about the run game and what I think about this or that. And I was like, walking out of the stadium, I kind of felt like, well, there goes the whole, like, is this team better than last year? Yeah, last year's team discussion. But I mean, I don't know. I think there's we'll see. I think it's definitely not definitive, but I know that was getting thrown around a lot last week. So we probably need to give it a little bit of time for that, to see. But I definitely I am really interested to see, like, does that hold true, right? The whole, like, Power Five opponent thing. And because if we come out and if we look in this game the way we looked against Oregon and South Carolina, then I think that's a pretty decent pattern. Also, I mean, like, not to call it out, but, like, away from home, we've been incredible. And this is a road game. So, I don't know. I don't know if there's anything to that or not, but
Yeah, I don't know. I just think it's kind of like last year. Like, do you think that this UGA team is the team that we saw so far this year, or was this just a fluke? Like, kind of like last year in the SEC championship, you kind of expect them to bounce back. I mean, we still dominated them. I mean, like I said earlier, like, it took this absolutely chaotic first quarter for them to even, like, be in the same breath as UGA for a period. Literally
right.
everything went wrong. Muffed a punt, threw some interceptions, missed guys, dropped balls, pass blocking's not there, blown coverage. Like, everything that could have gone wrong did go wrong in that game, and we still beat the piss out of these guys. So
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, that's true. All right. Well, let's see. I think we've kind of talked about our days. You're gonna be driving. So are
I'm
you
gonna be driving again.
are you, like, in theory, uh would you be home in time?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Okay.
There's no doubt that we should be home in time.
Okay. Okay. Got it. So, but you'll be leaving in the morning. There's interesting game I think to watch out for this weekend is Kentucky at Ole Miss. So our boy Hunter, uh, that's and Kentucky's in the top 10, which we didn't talk about the SEC shorts. If you haven't seen that,
Oh
go
my
check it out.
gosh, this is so amazing.
Which, I do feel like, we talked about, like, kind of like the noon kickoffs. And I remember, I think it was last week, one of the things you said was, like, maybe to get less noon kickoffs, like the SEC East should get better. And man, like, 3 top 10 teams now. So with Georgia, Kentucky, and Tennessee, um, interesting to see. Those things are cyclical. I don't know if all those guys can hold on, but
Yeah,
we'll
I was about
see.
to say we'll see how that thing looks at the end of the year.
Fair. Cool. All right, man. Well, I hope you enjoy the rest of your week at the beach. Enjoy the rest of your vacation, and hopefully you're able to dodge all the weather on Saturday and have a uneventful trip home.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man. Thoughts and prayers for everybody that is in the path of the storm. We look like we're going to be safe, so hopefully you and your families are as well. But I will be probably driving through the storm, so we'll see what happens. Just hope that this thing just kind of much ado about nothing.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. All right. Well,
Cool.
we'll be watching out for the dogs Saturday night in Como, as they say. And hopefully we bounce back and we see that team we've seen against Power Five opponents.
Awesome. Yeah, man. Let's kick the tires and light the fires on another SEC game, man. Go Dogs.
Go Dogs.